Repetition legitimizes. 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 Repetition legitimizes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9/8 is an odd time signature. Now, yeah, that can mean that it's an unusual time signature, and it is, but strictly speaking, odd is a numerical clarifier. 9 is an odd number. Unlike many other odd time signatures like 11/8 or 5/4, 9/8 can be felt isochronously. Isochronal pulses are regular in nature, which help with entrainment or synchronizing motor activity with external stimuli. Dancing, in other words. Humans are the only species who entrain to music. Parrots will sometimes move their body to regular pulses, as well as sea lions, believe it or not, and it goes deep. EEG research shows that newborns can detect regular pulse in music. Yes, early internet sensation Dancing Baby is an accurate reflection of the isochronal neuroresponse of infants. Go figure.
9!
9/8 can't be evenly divided in groups of 2, because it's an odd number, but it can be divided into 3 groups of 3/8 notes, making it isochronal, and because of that, it's actually more common than you might think. It's the rhythmic scheme behind the powerful brass of Richard Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. Otherwise known as Kill the Wabbit.
Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Not to be outdone by Elmer Siegfried, Mickey Mouse felt the pulse this way in Fantasia as he conjured brooms along to The Sorcerer's Apprentice by Paul Dukas. Irish Slipjig music is also felt this way in 3 groups of 3. Steady pulse, but odd time signature.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9/8 can be divided differently as well. Pulses don't have to be the same for entrainment, they just have to repeat. After all, repetition legitimizes. In his 1973 book, Problems of Ethnomusicology, Romanian composer Constantin Broidu uses the term aksak to refer to rhythmic cycles which alternate between 2 and 3/8 notes to create a sort of uneven limping effect. Aksak in Turkish literally means limping. The music ends up being bichronal, where there are 2 separate units of time that are being measured that do not divide evenly into one another. 2 cannot be evenly divided by 3. There is a very rich dancing tradition in Balkan countries that is based on this aksak rhythmic concept, where groupings of 2 are called quick steps and groupings of 3 are called slow steps.
They switched your music to something with a 9/8 time signature.
That's like dance kryptonite.
Maybe it is for Jimmy Pesto Jr. of Bob's Burgers, but for many people in the Balkans, it's not really that much of an issue because there are many dances from many different countries which are felt in 9/8 as 2 + 2 + 2 + 3 or quick, 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 slow. Dancer Laura Shannon writes that this pattern of 3 steps forward, 1 step back can also be seen as a metaphor for the year's seasonal cycle, which requires us to rest in order to grow. There is a feeling of being held. It's like a measure of 4/4, except the last beat is a little bit longer than the others. It's held longer. It's the winter season of the 4 seasons of 4/4, if we're gonna lean into this analogy, which admittedly I'm quite tickled by. So yeah, 4/4 is the 4 seasons. Why not?
The number of the day is...
What's cool about 9/8 is that you can actually slice it up both regularly and irregularly in the same piece of music. With that in mind, let's check out a song off my band Sungazer's latest EP, Bird on the Wing. Let's first check out the verse guitar riff. This is kind of like that held pulse in the measure of 4/4 from before, but now the held pulse is on the second beat in the measure of 4/4. So you could subdivide it like 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. Shifting where that held or slow beat is placed gets you a different traditional Balkan dance. This one in particular is called the Grancharsko Horo, or the Potter's Dance. Bird on the Wing is slower than this, so we can actually subdivide one layer further. Instead of dividing 9/8 notes into pulses, we could divide 18/16 notes. The higher the number, the more intricate pulse patterns you have to work with. So in the second half of the second verse, we have a 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 pulse pattern. Let's add more instruments for context. It doesn't have to be this complicated. You could divide 18 by 3 and get 6 evenly spaced pulses in the same amount of time as 9/8 notes. In other words, a 6 against 9 polyrhythm. Let's check out how that sounds in the second half of the first verse. If we just listen to the kick drum, it sounds like this, which sounds super regular, like it's in 4/4 almost. You'd bob your head to it like this. But in the context of the full groove, it sounds like this. Your body is entrained differently. This is kind of what a polyrhythm is, or a polypulse. Multiple pulses or stimuli to which your body can react. Most music is conceived with some form of bodily entrainment in mind. How the musician is feeling the pulse is how the listener is also supposed to feel the pulse. Some theories of how humans came to be musical in the first place suggest that this collective entrainment is important for developing social bonds, which is why newborns can feel the beat. Listening to a piece of music and not knowing how to tap your foot along to it can feel very strange because on a neurobiological level, the music isn't working for you. It's not doing its job. This is why if you come from a culture that doesn't have non-isochronal pulses, listening to a metric scheme like 9/8 can feel somewhat alienating. And so for the chorus and the solo sections of Bird on the Wing, we have a steady quarter note kick pulse of 2/8 notes apiece. Now 2 doesn't divide evenly into 9, but if we have 2 measures of 9/8, the kick pattern eventually comes back around. A very effective way of using odd time signatures is to include some form of even element that goes over the bar line, something that I'm going to call the isochronal entraining element. This is my video, I get to invent whatever jargon I want, so we're going to go with that. In Bird on the Wing, it's the kick drum, which makes 9/8 feel super regular. In modern syncopated metal, otherwise known as gent, the isochronal entraining element is often the China symbol. It's the thing that makes you unaware of the unevenness of the other rhythmic elements. Their potential odd meter complexity simply washes over you, and you're just left with the beat, the thing that you headbang to, the thing with which you are entrained. This isochronal entraining element doesn't quite fit with Balkan ideas of rhythm. Remember the whole thing about quick and slow steps? Well, it turns out that they don't always fit into Western ideas of subdivision. Those 2 to 3 relationships sometimes are a little bit more rhythmically nuanced. A study of Romanian gypsy musicians from Transylvania found that the relationships between quick and slow pulses in certain styles of music could actually be manipulated in real time for expressive effect. A guidebook for dancing the Eleno Moma, a folk dance from northern Bulgaria, suggests that musicians may select meters 7/8, 2-2-1-2, 11-16, 3-3-2-3, 12-16, 4-3-2-3, 13-16, 4-4-2-3, or in-between.
In-between? An in-between time signature? What does that mean? Like 11.28? Color me intrigued.
The exact time signature for this dance isn't clear, because the concept of a time signature that neatly subdivides all the pulses in the same way doesn't quite fit with the culture. In this way, 9/8 is almost a metaphor. It's a bridge between different cultures' rhythmic concepts. In this video, we talked about how I, as an American musician, might feel 9/8, but we also talked about how Irish traditional dancers might feel 9/8, as well as people from the Balkans, as well as Mickey Mouse. But we haven't talked about things like how, say, Cameroonian musicians might feel 9/8. That's a whole nother topic. David Bruce, composer, talks a little bit more about it on his video on rhythmic illusions. Link is in the description.
5, 6, 7, 8.
So today we've been talking a little bit about rhythm, how our bodies respond to rhythm and how different cultures interpret rhythm. And so as this video and this day come to a close, my question for you all is, why?
In Problems of Ethnomusicology, Konstantin Broilou offers a fairly tongue-in-cheek, overly flowery definition of rhythm. It is the psychophysiological function of the being and a dynamogenetic condition of the universe, analogous in scientific value to that which forms in biology life and being. Broilou goes on to wryly note, such sentences do not very much move the musician, with whom they hardly concern. We do these technical analyses of rhythm and music in order to better understand how different cultures feel rhythm and feel music, how they move their bodies along to music. Saying that rhythm is the dynamogenetic condition of the universe or whatever is useless in that regard, but saying that Balkan music can be felt in groupings of 2 and 3 is useful for understanding that particular culture. Entrainment is real, and it's a way that we can connect with other people. The more that we understand, the more that we can connect, and the more that we can get out of music and cultures that we previously were unfamiliar with. Ignorance is not just not knowing things, it's also the inability to connect with people, and that can lead to ugliness. So I hope this little video about 9/8 has not only made you a better musician, but maybe, just maybe, made you a more beautiful human. Thanks for watching.